Come on. Good morning, everybody. This is Richard back at you. We got Miss Teresa on the camera, and we got... There she is. Smile for us, Annie. Come on. You can smile. She's such a good girl, guys. Well, anyway, we got Billy's one of 94 Chevy truck in the house, 1500 4L60E training we did probably 10, 15 years ago. I'm not really for sure how long ago we've done it, but it had 140 something thousand miles on it now. It's got 400 something thousand on it. I mean, tremendous amount of mileage. He said that he got in it the other day, went to back up, and he felt this jerk, 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 and it locked down. Wouldn't go backwards. Went forwards fine, went to try to back up again, had problems backing up. So he got it in here, and I went and tried to drive it around the block. What's crazy is it backed up fine for me. Just took off with no problem. Every time I put it in reverse, it backed up. But it had a really loud low gear growl going forward. So we got a planetary going bad, bearing going bad somewhere, something like that going bad in it. Because he said it physically worked fine going forward. But I'm kind of curious to get it apart and see what type of wear and stuff it has, because this vehicle works from sun up to sundown. I mean, Billy, he gets around town, and Amarillo's pretty good size. We're gonna, yes, he does. Actually, he installs windshields and everything you can imagine. Annie, are you hanging by Miss Teresa today? Now, like I say, this is an early model. It's got an electronic speedometer right here. You want to be careful trying to get this out. You don't want to break this. You want to try to just break it loose a little bit, get it spinning. Just be really careful with it. They're really hard to get out without breaking them. Try to pull on it. If it don't come out, don't mess with it. Take the housing off with a wrench. Sorry I didn't get a 15mm wrench to break that loose, but I will get one really quick. And then I can pop it loose from the inside of the tail housing and get it out that way without breaking it. I'm just going to break this one loose, screw it out a little bit, and then take the rest of them out with the impact. Now this unit had some wires melted on it going to the O2 sensor. This bracket right here that holds the wire loom right here on this corner bell housing bolt cut through the wire loom and shorted out some wires. Shorted out the wires going to the O2 sensor and one of the wires going to the speed sensor. But you can see how that's, you can't get the bolt out with it in there, but now you can get behind it with a screwdriver and try to push it out that way. Just want to be careful with it. You don't want to break it, because these are really hard to find.
Ooh, that's got a little bit of metal.
And these are one of the biggest magnets inside one of these trannies. You can see right there when it's working. Doesn't grab it on where the reluctor counts, because it sets in here like this on underneath the bottom of it. It's a magnet. You can see that, of course. But this does not touch this. This spins just so many thousandths from this and counts it, and then your speedometer works. But you can see how much trash is on that thing when I wipe it off. Look at that.
Wow.
I don't even think you can get these anymore, truthfully. This one's not cracked or anything. A lot of them heat up and crack through here. Really good shape, hard to believe. Of course, I already popped the rear seal out.
Oh, that came out easy.
I actually took it out beforehand. I knocked it loose. You had to get it out. I always glue these in with yellow glue. You can see some remains of it here. Keeps it from leaking from the outer body around here. Got a brass bushing in there. If you want really longevity, use a brass bushing in the tail housing part there. But we did get all of our wiring fixed, our rear main seal in. Everything turned out really good in that respect. Had to get a new transmission mount. Got some miles on it, doesn't it? A lot of dirt. See if I can get my bigger ones in here. Of course, they're probably not going to be over here. Yeah, they are. There we go. And we can get in here and grab the O-ring. They're hard to pull out on these. You can get in here, grab this O-ring with your screwdriver, pull it out like that, take your pliers, and it'll come right out. Fourth gear servo is a stock servo, which we very seldom upgrade that unless it's going to be a real high performance unit. Now we do have a Corvette servo here for second gear. Smaller diameter. Now you always want to check these, even though you got a Corvette servo. You can say, wow, I got a Corvette servo, it looks really good, but these things actually wear in the pin bore. So you want to take this out. See if I've done anything in here. This thing got tremendous amount of mileage out of it, which he services it too, but it's just hard to believe sometimes. Okay, just stock spring, no spacer. A lot of times I'll put a spacer in here and kind of take up the travel here, firms up second gear a little bit, shortens the shift actually. But you want to look, what I was going to get into, I forgot to say, you want to look in here, put this pin back in here, and make sure this doesn't wobble on the pin. Okay? If it wobbles on the pin, your Corvette servo is no good. You need to get another one. So you just want to look at that. You notice here our connector has no fluid in it. That's really nice.
They can't hear me.
They can't hear you. Teresa don't have her mic in this morning because she's still got the bug of some sort. Yeah. Got a beautiful B&I torque converter. It lasted all those miles. DHHF. 2015.
Wow.
That's when the converter was.
2023.
I'd say it lasted, guys, because they go through converters pretty quick. So I mean, we probably got that on the 16th or something, or the 21st or something, you know. So pretty neat. You want to look here for any type of wear. These are bad about wearing on the end of the shaft here, and on one side only. Usually, when you pull the drum out, you need to clean it up, look at it, make sure it ain't wore on the one side. You want to make sure it's the same size all the way around. Of course, our lockup seal is setting way below the upper surface there to be sealing. Setting way down in the groove, wasn't even sticking up enough to really seal. Flat on the sides, it's not round no more. Shocked it didn't break. But he's got a big old cooler on this thing from factory. You don't see that very often, but I mean, it's got a factory really nice cooler on it. Gonna roll it over real quick. See what we got in the pan. Think we got any goodies in there, guys? Miss Annie's right under Teresa's feet. Ooh. So that's got a lot. I'm gonna dig down in here because when I pulled the pan off of it, this pan was just full of roller bearings. I don't see the roller bearings anymore, so I'm assuming they're probably down through here maybe, or somewhere stuck in here because I flipped it over. The little bearings are gone. I mean, the whole corner of the pan was just full of roller bearings. I was hoping that would stay there, but it didn't. Look at the filter. It's covered in metal.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Think that's a build-up there? That is a build-up. Okay, we'll get this. It's kind of neat to see something that you did that long ago, still going strong until something happened there. We got our park spring here. They're detent that you feel click, click, click in the dash. Rolls over them like that. You can actually double this up if you got a four-wheel drive to keep it from jumping out of gear. Just cut the roller off of it and stack it on top. I was really wanting them to see all the roller bearings that was in the pan. They're there. They're just everywhere. Now you notice this don't have a PWM solenoid. It's just got your 3-2 downshift solenoid here. Normally your PWM solenoid would be through here. So it's minus one solenoid that normally you would see, being that's early model pressure control solenoid. It's got the tabs on the end where the later version, the connector plugs into the side. Solenoids are the same here. Solenoid here could be even the same later. If you notice, this is something a lot of people don't know. If you notice on this connector, it's got a wide tab here and a narrow tab here. That way it only plugs in one direction. Solenoid is the same way. Because the solenoids are easy to get mixed up when you put it in the hole and you won't plug in. You'll notice that the tabs are different on each side on the solenoids. So, pretty neat. Now all the bolts on the top are going to be 10 millimeter except these three right here are 8 millimeter. This little boot looking shape or L shape, what do you want to call it? And then you have these two here that hold your pillow switch on. Now the pillow switch does have your temperature switch in it. Right here, your temperature sensor. That's what you're seeing right here. You hook your scanner up, this is what your scanner is going to read. It's full of metal. Say this one here will update this one here with that has the cover on the top of it so the metal doesn't get down in here. This is an old tranny. I can't believe we did it that long ago. That's a long time. I think it tells you you're doing something right.
Well, it makes me wonder if somebody put the date on the outside of the case, too.
I don't.
No, I know.
Now, I do rubber check balls and stuff, so it did have all rubber check balls in the unit. I just seen them roll down.
Yeah.
Now you do have your manual lever here. If you notice how it's got a cutout for it, it's kind of weird looking. And this will just slide in there. Once it slides in there and it goes this way, it can never come out. Let me get it back in there. You don't have to have a retainer. Some of the early ones actually had a clip. See, once it's in there, it can't come out. All it's going to do is slide back and forth. It's got a lot of metal in there. But some of the early ones physically had a clip that you clipped to hold it. So sometimes the clip would break, then the manual valve would quit working. I bet that's one metal contaminated dude right there. Definitely gotta get the flusher on it and the cooling system. Start, but this here is here. They got the plastic piston in it. It's not broke, but we'll definitely put the aluminum one there this time. Say parts, some parts you can still get, some you still can't. Thought it was a born oblong, but always want to update that now to the aluminum. You want to get in here and Scotch-Brite all this up really good. That way your new seal slides up and down really well. Boy, that's nasty looking, isn't it, Teresa?
Yeah.
We have our intermediate servo there. Let me grab this air chuck here, Teresa, or air hose.
Yeah, she ain't want to move.
She's staying right there, isn't she? Of course, this is a small hole piston here for the shaft that rides it down. The little bit earlier models, the pin size was bigger. So you have what I call a big hole and a small hole style piston. You definitely want to Scotch-Brite this up really good in here. When you replace the piston, it'll be have a top bore. I never use these back. I mean, they always get wear in there, so just remember Scotch-Brite it up really good. This is I like this accumulator better than all of them. They make one that's a lot deeper down in the bottom here. That takes a lot more to get the piston to the top when you're shimming it up. This one here is just a lot better one. I just like them a lot better. Of course, we got a round hole valve body on the gasket. You see the case gasket sneaking through the hole right there. You can see it. But you also want to make sure it's a round hole. Okay, you don't want to put a square hole in on there. All the check ball locations in the plate look really good still. If you notice, though, I did go with all these type of balls here. Let me roll this over. Yeah, I'm not, what do they want to call them? All kinds of stuff.
Neoprene.
Somebody will say something different, Teresa.
Plastic.
Plastic.
Neoprene. That one looks like it's not right there, though.
That's more in there. Yeah, depending if it's in the trough, it'll be a metal. I just like the metal ones in the trough better.
Sure.
And the trough, I mean by this.
Oh, okay.
See. You notice I did stack my 4th gear accumulator. Still got 3 more check balls in here. I always glue my wiring harness in. Even though it's got a new green pretty O-ring on it, I always put some silicone on it and pop it in there. That way I know that we're not going to have an issue. Oh, that piece of plastic right there is making it drip. Thought our chain quit working there for a minute. Went on strike. That's real easy and gentle. Come on, get out of there. There we go. You can see my little spacers I had in there, spacing it out. Those spacers right there. Come on. Goes in there. Put the 2 pieces together like that, set it on there. Set it down in there. You just want to make sure this piston here is below flush. You do not want it sticking up any at all. Just remember that. If your piston's down a little bit, that's okay. You never want it to stick up. Of course, you want to turn your output shaft, get your park and paw lever right here, put your little finger on it, turn your shaft until it locks. That way you can get into that bolt right there. You're going to have to do the exact same thing when you put the bolt back in. If not, you'll cross thread the bolt going in the hole. Okay. I was sure hoping a lot more of those rollers would fall out. I got a good picture in my phone of it, but ain't happening. Well, if you look at the stator on the front of the tranny right there, it's almost stripped. See that right there?
Mm-hmm.
Almost, all these right here is almost stripped. If this strips completely out, the vehicle won't have no stall on the converter. No more than you put it in the gear, you try to give it any gas, the vehicle's going to move. It's going to be like it's in four-wheel, or it's going to be like it's in fourth gear. Without that, this locks onto the sprag assembly, I believe. I'm not a real good person on converters or anything like that. I just know if this breaks off, if the sprag breaks in the converter, if this strips right here, you lose total stall on the converter. It's just no more than you put it in the gear, you give it any gas, the tack's not going to rise any at all. It's just going to try to start moving the vehicle instantly. So I had a gentleman's 408E do that out the track the other day, and he was wondering what's going on with it. Of course, you notice we always double seal our bolts. Don't want the bolts to leak. Even though you put a new O-ring, always put a little bit of silicone on there. That way it double seals. It's not going to leak up here at the top. This is where all your pressure goes through the pump, from the pump to the case. So that's where you're going to get it to leak at. If you notice the fluid that come out of the bolt holes through this area right here. Now, this is it's not a PWM style pump or anything like that. It still takes your later version seal, different filter. It doesn't take a 700 filter. You know, the filter's got the seal made or slides on the end of the neck of the filter. So this stator is going to be a little special. Could be hard for me to find. We're just going to have to look and see what I have out there. I got a lot of cores, but still, you just never know. Nowadays, stuff's just hard to find, every bit of it, from the big to the small. See what boost valve we put in here. So at least going to have a 2-ringer. If it's got a 1 ring, I always take it out. There, that snap ring went.
Yeah, it went somewhere behind me.
Let's see what we got in here. It could be a 1-ringer, you just never know. Got a 1-ringer. That tells you how back in the day when these were coming out, stuff wasn't hard to, it was harder to find. So we'll definitely update this, give it a little bit better pressure going forward and in reverse. So I can't wait to build it again for him. We don't like to jump the pressures up tremendously because it's just harder on the pump, everything like that. For that kind of mileage, I mean, look at that pump rotor. Almost still looks brand new. Look at that. Hardly no wear on there at all. The bluing's almost all there still. And that's because the tranny pressure wasn't jumped up real high. Cruising pressure, stuff like that. Which, I don't know if he did go out of town quite a bit in this truck too. You know, different towns and stuff, Pampa, Plainview. But if you notice here, guys, look what I did do. And I guarantee it helped this tranny a ton. I put that fine coat of silicone right through here. Actually, a little bit more than I probably should have. This is your vent circuit. This is your pressure circuit here. So if you get anything through here, it can get into the vent circuit. So that's why I always do that. But I've learned too now a lot finer coat of silicone. I mean, hardly nothing at all. Because you see here, I got a little bit of layover, and I don't want that. So this is the vent. You know, it's just going to blow it out the vent, but still. Got your dual springs in your pump slide. Starting to get a little bit of wear. The bluing's starting to get thin. Of course, your pivot pin, you want to look at that really close. Wish my gloves weren't so dirty. You can actually see wear starting to happen on this pin here. Right. Slippery. You barely see it. I mean, it's but right through there. You see it there going up that way.
Yeah.
We got a brand new pin over here. You can. Yeah, this is smooth all the way around. So you always want to replace that because you don't want this slide to run crooked when it's moving or anything. This runs in a really tight area where there's very few thousandths for it to work with, so you don't want it to wobbling around. Of course, we did go with a coated bushing. You can see here where the top of the bushing almost was never touched at all, and you get a little bit of wear down here on the bottom. Now that's caused from crankshaft wear. Usually if the crankshaft is starting to set low in the motor, when we bolt our flywheel up, the torque converter pushes down right here because the crankshaft is physically setting low in the motor. Let me get a rag here. Let's see if I can wipe some of this off. You can actually see where it started trying to melt it a little bit here too. But this tranny had issues, but I just know from experience what this is caused by. Brand new there, never touched. Starting to see the wear on the bottom. So I always knock my band anchor loose, get that out of the way. That way you can just pull this drum out. Got this beautiful wide band that we put in there that many moons ago. Got some metal embedded in it here, you can see. The band actually looks really nice, Been hot maybe a little bit, but just the trash being embedded into it. You want to look at your drum. Make sure there's no grooving. Make sure it's flat all the way across. I don't have my piece over here, but we stick a straight edge across this and make sure there's no daylight in the middle. Especially on a wide band, the wide band's going to touch all the way across this drum, where your narrow band's only going to use about that much of it. So you definitely want it to be flat all the way across. Of course, we have our reverse clutch here. Still looks good and surviving. You never want to tighten this clutch up. A lot of people get in there and try to tighten clutch packs and stuff up. Some of these clutch packs have to be loose to start with. If you tighten them up, you can burn them up. I'm going to look down in here for any wear where these sealing rings run on your stator that run down in here to apply your reverse clutch. Put a new bushing in here, new bushing here. Mainly too, make sure your fingers ain't folded out. A lot of these drums come in with the fingers folded out a little bit, and it'll start cutting the case down in here, so you want to look for that. We got this little bearing right here. You always want to check it or replace it. If this bearing's bad, you'll get a little bit of whine in neutral and park. So you want to be careful there. You think it's the pump, and it's not. It's that bearing whining. Now, you can see we got our 3/4 clutch. We got our forward clutch down in here. All these clutches can be applied through these holes. That's the forward clutch coming on there. Let me spin it. See what this one's going to be. That's going to be your engine brake clutch on the bottom. And this is going to be your 3/4 clutch on the top. See that? But if you look here on the 3/4 clutch, you can see here so much of the teeth are missing on the clutch. You can see where they're wore plumb down. This one here is almost totally gone. See that? Let me get this out and see what we got going on here. Got our beautiful load springs. This drum is full of metal. Okay, get this right. And we have our 3/4 clutch here. Got a Z-pack in it, of course. But you can see here where a lot of these clutches are starting to lose the size. See here how it's almost a quarter of it's gone. Same way all the way down through there. Did its job though. Then you have your forward clutch here. And you have your engine brake clutch there. Looks pretty good still for the mileage. We have this seal right down in here, your lube seal, and then you have this bearing that sits on top of it. And your sprag assembly sits down on here. Okay. Not going to take that apart, leave that like that. Just don't want to forget your lube seal. What this looks like. So you want to look for any chattering or anything like that on your outer race. Does have an updated sprag in it. Same way here, you want to look for any type of chattering. If there's no chattering, that looks really good for that mileage. Scotch-Brite that up, put a new sprag in there. Now, let's see if we can find out why we had some major metal problems. If you notice here, you can see where the this piece here was rubbing on the front planet right there. They should not touch. Should be probably a gap, that much a gap between this piece and that planet. Hopefully this comes out. Please, Lord, come out. Oh my gosh, I was worried about that. Well, this is when things go awry. We have our band anchor, of course, we don't want to forget that. I'm going to try to grab that and pull that out. And it's probably not going to come out. So, unfortunately, this is where the video is probably going to end. Because I'm going to have to come in here and I'm going to weld something onto this right here to get me a slide hammer in here to pull this sun gear out. This is our problem here. What happened is the bearing behind this sun gear that goes inside this planet right here, once the rollers fell out, it started running it over and knocks the teeth off the sun gear, and that's why you can't get that out. Now there's going to be a snap ring below this. Man, oh. Man, I just might have found me a tool. Might have found me a tool. Man, because it moved. Did you see that, Teresa? Let me see if I can get something down in there. I don't want to stop the video now. I want to keep on going. Now I can lay a bolt in there. Try to get under that. Let me see what I can find to lay in there and try to get a little bit more leverage on that and pull that out. See if my big ones will get in there now. Sometimes we got to make all kinds of things to get these apart. Huh, Teresa, tools wise. Some of them do not want to come apart. But, you know, you just can't stop. You got to try to figure out how to get it apart, because you don't want to try to hunt a whole nother core down or case or anything like that. So you got to do what you can do to get it apart. Come on. If I can find something else to put in there. Kind of set this bushy down. Oh my gosh, it's not going to come out. Not looking like it. Anything is simple anyway. Let me try this piece right here. Oh. What can I put in there? Ugh. Man, I hate that. Don't you, Teresa? I want to get that thing apart. Hang on a minute. We're going to figure out something. I'll find something to get in there. Maybe. What can I use?
I mean, you can see a lot of metal down here on the table. No doubt.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get something up under there where my pliers won't try to push it out. And that's what it keeps trying to do. Let's see if I can get these in there and see if it'll push them out too. Man, it just ain't gonna. Well, I guess it got stuck. I'm probably gonna have to figure out some way to get in there and clamp on that. What can I get? And most of the time I end up welding something to it and getting my slide hammer and just pulling it out. So I can kind of see that happening. But what we'll do another video on it once I get it out, so we can kind of go from there and show you guys what happened to the planet, what happened to the rest of it down through there. Does that sound good, Teresa?
Yeah,
sounds like a plan. Because like I say, we want to save as much as we can out of here. We don't want to just go find another core and throw this to the side. Because it lasted that many miles, we can make it last even more next time. So, well guys, don't forget to subscribe, push your notification bell and all that neat stuff. Miss Teresa, we want to thank you for recording, and video number 2 again. Have a great day.